Hello and welcome back to Let's Explore World of Warcraft Classic. I'm the Azeroth historian and I'm excited to move on to our new area, Mulgore. I've decided to keep the chat box covered going forward, just for ease of editing and not having to check public chat channels. Especially once we go into the Barrens. The Barrens chat meme is alive and well. Speaking of which, no time like the present to hand in our last two Durotar quests at the Barrens border. Off we go! Crossing over the bridge from Durotar to the Barrens, we can see the border buildings of Far Watch Post. Talking to Kargal Balskar, we can hand him the recruitment letter we received way back in episode 1 in Razor Hill from Tarkin. He'll sign our recruitment letter, but he doesn't have much for us to do. What the Horde really needs is someone at the crossroads. Kargal wants us to bring the signed letter to Segra Darkthorn and Crossroads. She's apparently a nasty shaman who will talk us in circles before letting us do anything useful. Sounds like some personal experience there, Kargal, having trouble with women. In any case, we need to pass through Crossroads to get to Mulgore, so I will hand this letter off on my way through. Next to the watchtower here is Axeloth, Niru's assistant. He's confused on why Niru wants the Demon Seed destroyed, which is just more proof that Niru is bad news if you never did the Hidden Enemies questline. I declined the next quest as it's a timed quest, and we will be back later for the Barrens quests. While I run to the crossroads, let me explain a little bit about where we are going. Truthfully, I don't know much about Tauren or Mulgore, as they have been my least favorite Horde race. I don't dislike them, but they just seem a bit boring compared to the history that Orcs, Forsaken, and Blood Elves had. So for this episode, I did some preliminary research. The Tauren have been around for thousands of years. Before the War of the Ancients, they learned druidic practices alongside the Night Elves with Cenarius, a demigod of nature. After the Sundering, the Tauren were left stranded on the new continent of Kalimdor in a new homeland, the plains of Mashanshi. This is where they began their nomadic lifestyle, traveling and living on the verdant grasslands of central Kalimdor, being one with nature. The Tauren have a different deity called the Earth Mother, which they believe created the entirety of the Earth and birthed the sun Anshi, the moon Musha, and the lesser blue moon Losho. She created the Tauren, named the Shuhalo, and then the Earth Mother sacrificed herself to be one with the Earth she created in order to contain the old gods jailed within it to keep them from corrupting the Tauren with their whispers. During their travels in Manshanshi, the Tauren began hearing what they believed was the voice of the Earth Mother asking them to awaken her. After doing so, they found out that it wasn't the Earth Mother, but instead was Princess Thaladras in Maradon. Now awake, she ravenously consumed the energy of Manshanshi, turning it into the area we now call Desolus. Cenarius ordered his son, Zaytar, to investigate this disturbance in nature, and Zaytar fell in love with Theradris. The two of them ended up creating the Centaur, the bane of every Horde player. With the desertification of Manshanshi and the spreading Centaur menace, the Tauren were driven out of their ancestral home and forced to roam the Barrens. This led to the decimation of the Tauren population. Fast forward to Warcraft 3, where Thrall finds Cairn Bloodhoof when they land on Kalimdor, and the Orcs save the Tauren from the ravages of the Centaur. In exchange for helping the Tauren move the last remaining camps of their tribes from the oases in the Barrens to a new homeland, Cairn agrees to help Thrall find the Prophet Medivh in Stone Talon Mountains. While the Orcs settled Durotar after Warcraft 3, the Tauren, after deciding their nomadic lifestyle was no longer feasible, settled Mulgore and created the city of Thunderbluff, which means the settlements in Mulgore are also only around 3 years old. I never knew just how wild the Tauren's history was until I looked up a deep dive on it. I'm glad I went into Mulgore with his backstory as reference. Arriving at the crossroads, we can give the recruitment letter to Segra. She mentions that there's plenty of work around here, and specifically if you have a female character, mentions that she's glad to see more women taking the initiative to push forward into the Barren. Grabbing the flight point here before we leave, we can head south out of the crossroads to continue on to Mulgore. It's a very long journey, and I already did the lore dump, so cue up another map montage. The starting area for the Tauren is Camp Narache. We can talk to Grull Hawkwind, where he says we have a promising air about us, and we will prove ourselves to the tribe. Mulgore is laid out more as a rite of passage to adulthood to young Tauren, acting as a series of trials to prove you are ready to be a hunter of the tribe. The Tauren place a lot of importance on the ability to hunt and provide for the community. With the totems everywhere as well, you can tell that the inspiration for their race was the First Nations of North America. We need to hunt the nearby plane striders for meat and feathers to prove ourselves by resupplying the camp with needed supplies. Running around the oven in the center of the camp, we can find Brave Windfeather. While settling Mulgore, the Tauren also ran into the Quillbore and are now in conflict with them. She wants us to kill their leader, Chief Sharp-Tusked Thornmantle, and bring back his head. I see that peaceful nomads have taken a page out of the Orcs playbook and are now taking war trophies. We can get the last quest available from Chief Hawkwind. He says the community live together and work together, with commitments carrying a high degree of responsibility. His mother left a while ago to fetch water from the nearby well and hasn't returned yet. Chief Hawkwind would like us to check on her for him while he's busy with tribal matters. It's nice to just have a role-playing quest for once, fleshing out the community the Tauren have built after settling from nomadic life. Let's do a little tour of the camp. At the first tent on the right here, you can find a general goods vendor. The next tent has the druid and shaman trainers. The main tent has the hunter trainer on one end and the warrior trainer on the other. The next tent has a leather armor vendor, a weapon vendor, and a heavy armor and shield vendor. The last building is a grain mill with a baker next to it. I like the small details that, since the Tauren settled in a rolling grassland, they started farming and producing grain foods, and since the Durotar is a red desert, the Orcs decided to raise livestock instead of farm, which is a nice contrast between the two starting areas. Time to prove our worth to the Tauren by showing off our hunting prowess. A field of dead plane striders later, I have 7 meat and 7 feathers for Grull. Conveniently, I got the last feather right next to the well we need to find the lost mother of Chief Hawkwind. Grey Mother Hawkwind is flattered we came all the way to help her. While she no longer has the vigor of youth, she says she can still perform the task required for the tribe. It will just take her a little longer to do so. Since we came to find her, she recruits us to take a jug of water back to the chief. This should help us get a bit more recognition from the elders. I grab a pitcher from off the rim of the well and head back to camp. Grull thanks us for the meat and feathers, saying we show much promise after our first task for the tribe. Our next test is to bring back highly valued mountain cougar pelts for clothing and tent repair. Hunting is not just for trophies, but for survival of the tribe. This quest has very similar vibes from the Sen'jin Village one, where the trolls use the tiger pelts to make and fix their huts. We bring the pitcher to Chief Hawkwind, who can see we found Great Mother Hawkwind since we brought back a pitcher for her. Our willingness to help others of the tribe is a good step for the tribe to be proud of us in Thunderbluff someday. This wording makes it seem like this camp is more of a satellite settlement, perhaps where the young and old are kept safe, and eventually you prove yourself worthy to join the main community in the central city. In order to take our place as a great hunter of Thunderbluff, we need to pass the rites of the Earth Mother. There are 3, with the first being the Trial of Strength. We need to talk to Seer Greytongue south of the camp to begin this trial. Well, south is where the cougars are, so might as well collect those on the way. After getting our 10 cougar pelts, we can climb the hill and talk to Seer Greytongue. Embarking on the rites of the Earth Mother will be no small task. These rites are required to gain respect in Thunderbluff. The Rite of Strength will test our bravery by slaying enemies of the tribe. We need to take out the Quillbore who have been ambushing hunting parties and stealing from Camp Narache at night. We need to bring back 12 bristleback belts to Chief Hawkwind as proof of our valor. Well, no time like the present to eradicate some more Quillbore from Kalimdor. To the east is a cave tunnel that leads to a ravine covered in curling brambles and pigmen. We can follow the pathway with torches along it to find a couple huts and Chief Sharptusk. Following the road around, you can see another cave with a mob called Squealer Thornmantle. It's not labeled with a silver dragon, but it has a unique armor drop, Squealer's Belt. On the ground beside Squealer, you can find a dirt-stained map. This starts a quest to bring the map back to Chief Hawkwind, as the map is battle plans to siege Camp Narache. After finishing the collection of 12 belts, we can head back out of the crag by following the Torch Road, and then back to camp. Grull passes along thanks from the Tauren of Narache for the pelts. With our skills in the hunt, it's only a matter of time until we are revered in Thunderbluff. I'd prefer to be exalted, but revered is a nice first goal for reputation. The battle boars controlled by the Quillbore are encroaching on the tribal hunting grounds. We need to slay them and bring back their flanks and tusks for food. Finally, Hamable can satiate his desire for boar meat once again. It's been a while since we killed any boars. Brave Windfeather explains that Tauren live for the hunt, and there is no greater hunt than against a foe that can hunt you right back. By bringing back the head of the Quillbore chief, we have earned a reward to help us on our journey. Giving Chief Hawkwind the 12 belts, we have proven our valor and passed the Rite of Strength. The tribe will be proud of our efforts. For the next rite, we need to travel to Bloodhoof Village and give Bane Bloodhoof, the son of Cairn, a totem. This was carved by Chief Hawkwind and will explain where we are in the path of the Rites. We also give Chief Hawkwind the battle plans we found, and he plans to call upon Bloodhoof Village to help Narache thwart the incoming attack. We helped save a bunch of lives today, huzzah! Time to satisfy Hannibal with a boar buffet. After quite a lot of boars, we have all the snouts and flanks we need and can head back to camp. Grull is happy with our spoils of the hunt, as well as the fair lesson the loss of their battle boars will have on the cool boar. Also, is it just me, or does anyone else find it weird that the spiny boar people keep beast boars as grunt soldiers, pets, or a food source? This is the last task for Camp Narache, so we can head southwest to leave the Red Cloud Mesa. We can find Antur Fallow on our way out, who needs us to make a delivery to Bloodhoof Village for her. She cannot leave, as she's in the middle of the Rite of Strength. We were already heading there, so why not? We can just continue following this road to Bloodhoof. It's a pretty nice central location with a large lake around it. Coming in from the west side of the village, we can talk to Rule Eagle Talon, who wants us to test our strength against the Wind Fury Harpies in the southeast and bring back 8 Talons. They are one of the natural enemies to the Tauren and Mulgore. I think Harpies are enemies to everyone, not just the Tauren. I think only the Night Elves tolerate the Harpies, and even that is mostly begrudgingly, because the god of Harpies helped the Night Elves fend off the Burning Legion in the War of the Ancients. In the center of the village you can find Bane Bloodhoof. He asks what brings us here, and we can give him the totem from Chief Hawkwind, which Bane reads and says we received high praise from Chief Hawkwind. Bane now has 3 tasks for us. The first task is that gnolls have settled to the south of the village. They refuse any attempt to communicate and hunt the wildlife unchecked. Words are no longer the answer. I agree, Bane. Let not the gnolls to live. The second task is completing the Rite of Vision. To do this, we need to talk to the village's spiritual leader, Zarl Two Moons, and participate in a ritualistic vision. The third task is that dwarves have prepared a dig site to the northwest. The mass excavation the dwarves do is defiling the land, and that is no way to learn the teachings of the land. We need to collect digging tools in the camp and smash them at the forge there, then bring them back to Bane. Heading towards the inn building, we can talk to Scorn Whitecloud. If we really want to follow the ways of the hunter, he tells us that Malor Stonehoof can show us the path. He is in Thunderbluff. To show off our skill, we need to hunt flatland prowlers and collect their claws, then bring them to Malor. You can talk to Scorn again and ask to be told a story. He will tell us that during his entire hunting career, he has only been bested once, and that was against a Ghost Howl. Long ago, this wolf was an ally of the Tauren and fought bravely against the Burning Legion. He was injured by a demon, and the wound never healed, causing the wolf to go mad from the pain. Ghost Howl can be found roaming the plains in agony, seeking an end to his torment. Ghost Howl can be found roaming around Thunderbluff, and if you slay him, you get a quest item. I love how this dialogue is optional, but gives you a hint to something you can actually find in the area. Heading into the inn, you can find the first A-trainer here. We can give the bundle of furs to Innkeeper Kauth, who thanks us for the delivery. He'll be using them for blankets for the inn, and invites us to stay for as long as we like. In the large tent to the northwest, we can find most of the vendors. On the left, we find the heavy armor vendor and shield vendor, the leather armor vendor, the weapon vendor, and a separate gun vendor. The Tauren hunters start with guns instead of bows, which means I can train guns in Thunderbluff later. At the back of the tent is a cooking trainer, leatherworking trainer, and skinning trainer. To the right of the tent is a general goods vendor and a trade goods vendor. In the north part of the village, you can find the riding kodos, the mounts for the Tauren. Next to the central bonfire is Zarlman Two Moons. He was expecting us. To pass the Rite of Vision, we need to gather the reagents for the Water of the Seers. We need to get 2 wellstones from any well of Mulgore, and 2 ambercorns, which can be found around any tree in Mulgore. If you combine some stones and pine cones with magical properties and eat them before the bonfire, we will have a vision. I really want to know which Tauren ancestor figured out this combination for trippy visions. Nearby, we can find Mar Raincaller. His grandfather has told him stories of Narache, a plain strider with demonic red eyes and a venomous bite. He managed to encounter it on the plains, and it bit his shoulder, which is now infected. He needs ingredients to make a poultice for his injury: a prairie wolf heart, flatland cougar femur, plain strider scale, and a swoop gizzard. Narache is actually a rare monster that can be found roaming just south of Thunderbluff. He's very popular as a hunter pet, as he's a plain strider with a unique pink skin color. Since pets shrink to your model size, it looks like a flamingo once tamed. I kept a lookout for it while I was here, but alas, I never spotted it. I'll just have to find a different cool pet later. At the northmost hut, you can find the fishing vendor, a hunting trainer, and the pet trainer. If I get level 16 here, at least I won't have to wait to train skills this time. In the last building of the village, you can find the shaman trainer, the druid trainer, and Harken Wind Totem. Hunting swoops is a difficult task, as the birds are cunning. To collect swoop quills is a badge of cleverness and determination. If we are up to the task, Harkon wants us to hunt swoops all over Mulgore and collect 8 trophy quills to bring back to him. He's right about the all over Mulgore part. Swoops spawn maybe 1 in every 6 wildlife mob. I will kill any swoop I see as I go around completing other tasks, but I won't be finishing this one for a while. South of this building appears to be some sort of warrior sparring ring with a warrior trainer next to it.
Will you help me find my dog?
Just north of the village you can find Ahab Weehoof, who startled me at first by having a completely different voice of the rest of the Tauren, as well as an entirely unique voice line. I looked it up on Wowhead out of curiosity, and this NPC was created by Ezra Chatterton with Make-A-Wish Foundation. He voiced the character and designed the quest, using a reference to his own dog for Kyle. Sadly, Ezra passed away in 2008. This character has survived all the changes to the game and is friendly to both factions. Ahab's dog Kyle has gone missing, and he's positive that Kyle's running lost and hungry around Bloodhoof Village. He asks us to feed Kyle to calm him down so he'll return home. His favorite meal is strider meat. Hunt down a strider and take the meat to Kyle in town. If you put it down, he will surely come to us. Down the road heading east toward the Barrens, you can find Morin Cloudstalker. A Venture Co. caravan was spotted at the northern shore of Stonebull Lake. The guards were quick to take it out and torch it, expecting all the supplies to go up with it. There are now Venture Co. scavengers in the wreckage, so Morin wants us to go to the caravan and see what they could be looking for. With all the quests collected, we can start collecting items. Most of the wildlife can give us items, so let the purge begin. You can find a well just south of here, so the first item complete is collecting 2 well stones for the Rite of Vision. The first plain strider gave me the meat for Kyle, so that can just sit in my bag for the next half an hour until we get back to the village. Taking a break from killing the local wildlife, let's kill the gnoll infestation. In the trees here I find the 2 ambercorns needed for the Rite of Vision. After wiping out 5 pale mane poachers, 8 pale mane skinners, and 10 pale mane tanners, we can continue the wholesale slaughter of the local beast population. Not entirely sure why we can decimate the wildlife, but if the gnolls do it, then that's bad and execution worthy. The first ingredient for the pulses we find is the plain strider scale, with the wolf heart coming up not too long after that. Moving a bit more to the east, we can find the cougar femur, and then that just leaves getting the swoop gizzard after finding a few more swoops. This leaves us with just 1 trophy quill so far. Back to the village, I placed down the strider meat to catch Kyle, who you can find running laps around the village. He does a little dog dance for you once he's eaten, then runs off again. Since we're near Bane, I let him know we've killed a bunch of gnolls, and he's glad we took the task seriously. Then something about the Circle of Life philosophy, which, sure Bane, whatever lets you sleep at night after the decimation of an entire hyena man camp. Returning to Zalman, he's glad we learned how to gather from the land, and he'll make our vision water now. When we're ready, we can drink it near the fire and wait for our vision to appear. Then we should follow it to our destiny. Or the questing marker if you have it. Let's put a pin in that for a moment and hand in the other quests first. We can bring the poultice ingredients to Mar, whose condition is rapidly deteriorating. He thanks us and says he owes his life to us. We should be careful on our travels in case we encounter something as nasty as Mazranache. Heading back to Ahab, he thanks us as Kyle has come home right away and went straight to bed, all tuckered out from his running around. Well, might as well drink the definitely not hallucinogenic drugs we got at the fire. This makes a ghost wolf called the Plains Vision that will lead you to the quest hand-in. I have a small rant about this. If you want me to follow something, either make them walk, so I can roleplay walk with them, or make them run character pace, and have them pause if I get too far away. Making them exactly the midpoint of speed between walking and running is so incredibly frustrating to follow. Okay, rant over. The hallucination wolf brings you to a cave with Seer Wise Runner in it. He says making it here means we have passed the Rite of Vision. Does this mean the seer has to live in this cave, just waiting for people for this rite, or do the seers have a rotating duty for who has to stand in the right cave today? In any case, the last rite is the Rite of Wisdom. The ancestral spirits of Red Rocks will now give us their blessing since we drank the Vision Water. The Red Rocks are east of Thunder Bluff. Well, since this cave is just north of the harpies we need to kill for claws, might as well get that done while we are here. After killing the entire hillside of harpies at least twice, we finally have 8 towns and can move on. Conveniently, this harpy camp is just north of the Dwarven dig site. Let's smash some tools. We need to loot 5 prospector picks and break them at the anvil at the back of Baeldun's dig site. Any dwarf can drop them, not just the diggers. Before heading back to the village, let's scout out that ravaged caravan. We're still killing swoops as we see them, and I'm now at 5 trophy quills. Getting into the center of the caravan, we can find an intact crate. On the side is a note indicating that the contents are due at one of the central plants. Inside the crate is an assortment of ore and minerals. At the top is some documents. We can hear the faint sound of mining and fire coming from the east. We should bring these back to Morin. Giving the documents to Morin, he says this explains why there has been more venture co's seen in Mulgore. The goblins are a very greedy people, and usually have zero respect for nature if it impedes profit. Unfortunately for them, they decide to try to strip mine Mulgore, and the Tauren are not having it. Morin wants us to send them a message like we did the gnolls. I think the orcs are rubbing off on the Tauren a little too much. The plans the goblins made to try and drive the Tauren from Mulgore so they could reap it of its natural resources disgusts Morin. He wants the mastermind of the plans killed. This would be Supervisor Fitzsprocket. We should bring back his clipboard so we can find out anything else he was planning. Well, at least it wasn't his head or hand. The orcs definitely would have wanted his head. Back to Bane, he explains the digging in the earth by the dwarves can send the Kodo and Mulgore into a frenzy. He thanks us for breaking the tools and helping calm down the Kodo. Hopefully, this will teach the dwarves to respect the knowledge the earth provides without plundering it. I wouldn't bet on it, Bane. We can bring the Harpy talents to Rule and he praises us for a well-done hunt. He deems us well prepared for our travels ahead. Heading out to the Venture Co mining area, I get my last swoop quill. We can finally leave the swoops alone. While there is a camp outside this mine, we can just head up and inside. There will be plenty of Venture Co to perch. We already finished taking out 6 supervisors before we find Fitzsprocket. This mine is massive and we barely see any of it before finishing the 14 workers off. The Venture Co seems to have been here for quite some time, or they work very quickly. From the mine, we can head north to find the Flatland Prowlers and get their claws. 4 in total, which definitely took more than 1 Prowler to get. Maybe we're just obliterating these cats into a paste of unusable claws. Since we are close, we can finish the Rite of Wisdom before heading back. On the way to Red Rock, we find Lorekeeper Rain Totem. He explains only the most valiant Tauren are laid to rest at Red Rocks, the sacred burial grounds. It is a great honor bestowed to the great warriors who helped found and protect Thunderbluff, as well as those who gave their lives for the good of the tribe. However, the Quillborn menace strikes once again and they are ravaging the gravesite. We need to get rid of them, with force. Well, we need to kill them to get to the Rite of Wisdom ancestor, so might as well get a reward for it. With the Quillbore out of the way, we can talk to the ancestral spirit, who passes the protection of Thunderbluff to us and we can enter the city with pride. Well, good thing I did this quest before going to Thunderbluff. Wouldn't have wanted to go against tradition. Back to Lorekeeper Rain Totem, he is pleased we have sent a clear message to the Quillbore. They will think twice before attempting to meddle in the holy site of the Tauren again. I mean, think twice maybe, but make a different decision? I don't think so. The pigmen are a little dumb. As has become tradition, I remember I can hearth to Bloodhoof while I watch my priest friend run back. Enjoy the scenic hike! We can finally bring Harkin the swoop quills. He knows gathering the quills is not an easy task, but we have proven ourselves as a hunter of merit. I mean, the task was easy, just tedious having to find that many swoops. One more run to Morin and he's sure the goblins understood that the Tauren are not going to let the Venture Co steal the resources of Mulgore without protest. He is also appeased somewhat that Fitzsprocket is dead and can no longer commit atrocities against the Tauren. He will look through the clipboard to see if there's any other information on what the Venture Co has been planning for the future. With all the quests in Bloodhoof complete, it is time to head to Thunderbluff. Reaching the base of the mesas that Thunderbluff rests on, we can find the elevator that brings you up. Like every Horde player before me, I attempt to catch the elevator and just miss it. At least this time I can just go around and catch the next one instead of plummeting to my death. The hardest boss for the Horde is really the elevator boss. Once at the top, we can take a tour of the city. I am very happy to report that the signs have fun names again. The Tauren get to have a sense of humor. The first section is called the Low Rise. The first hut on the right has a sign for Thunderbluff Civic Information. Here you can find the Guildmaster and the Tavern Vendor. Since the bluff is a circle, I will just follow along counterclockwise building to building. Next is Karuk's Goods, who is the general vendor here, as well as a bag vendor. Then it's Trade Goods and Supplies, which unsurprisingly has a trade goods vendor. Thunderbluff Weapons has just one weapon vendor, and the weapon trainer. I take a moment to learn guns here, which is the only thing he can teach me. While I anticipate mostly using bows, I figured it would be good to grab guns just in case I get an upgrade that's a gun. I will mention that I will eventually get crossbows from Undercity, but they are extremely rare until level 50 plus on the Horde side, so no need to spend money on it right now. Next is the inn that connects the Low Rise to Hunter Rise. Inside we have Innkeeper Paula, who has a quest from the TCG Fortune card. Frankly, I have no idea why I can access this, as I have no memory of earning this. The imp in a ball works kind of like a magic 8-ball, but he whispers her answer to you. The one I got said, "Looks good for you, and bad for me." Outside the inn is the usual stablemaster. Right behind him is Thunderbluff Bank. which is at least better than just bank, the Undercity sign said. There are 3 bankers inside, and finally, a bank with storage chests, with locks most likely. So far, Thunderbluff is the only one with a bank that I think would actually function like a bank. The next hut is called Heiwa's Armory. Inside you can find a mail armor vendor, a leather armor vendor, and Heiwa is the cloth armor vendor. Heading to the center pond, we pass the Thunderbluff Commendations NPC and find Cairn's Smithy. Good place to put the forge, next to the only water source on this rise. You can find the blacksmith supplies vendor and Cairn the blacksmith trainer. Turning around, we can find bread and grains, with a bread vendor and another mill. The next 2 huts have the auctioneers in them, but they don't have a sign. This means Orgrimmar Auction House is the only named auction house in the original Horde capital cities. We can pass the hut for the bridge to Spirit Rise, as it only has an NPC we can't talk to, Sage Truthseeker. Passing an empty hut, we reach Stonehoof Geology, which has the mining vendor and the mining trainer. The last hut has Ald Stonespire inside, who we also can't talk to. Outside this hut, though, is someone we can talk to. Aeon Eagletalon is making a coming-of-age headdress for his brother. While he's making the body of the headdress, he doesn't have time to find feathers for it, and he would like our help to get some. We can find the feathers he needs northwest of Thunderbluff by killing, you guessed it, more harpies. Maybe the Tauren only tolerate the irritating bird women because they harvest them for headdress feathers? With the low rise explored, we can head to the central totem next to Heiwa's Armory and run up 1 level to get to mid-rise. The first hut on the right is Thunderhorn's Archery, which has a bower and fletching goods vendor, a good place to remember to restock arrows. Next is another mill labeled fruits and vegetables. I cannot help but notice that there is only a fruit vendor here. What happened to the vegetable vendor? Then we have Holistic Herbalism, with a herbalism trainer and herbalism vendor. There is no one in the building with the bridge to Elder Rise. You can see the north elevator that goes back down to the Mulgore plains just right of Cloud Weaver's baskets. Tand is labeled as a basket weaver, but he is just selling more regular bags. Benna's Alchemy gets a bigger tent, with the alchemy vendor, alchemy trainer, and an apprentice alchemist. Dawn Strider Enchanters has the enchanting vendor, enchanting trainer, and an apprentice, all with the last name Dawn Strider. We can skip the building with the bridge to Spirit Rise for now, as there's no one in it. Thunderbluff Armorers has a skinning trainer outside. There is a cloth armor vendor, the leatherworking and tailoring vendor, the tailoring trainer, and an apprentice tailor, all on the left as you enter. There is also Varen Tallstrider with a couple quests. As a leatherworker, if we bring him back 12 light leather, he will fashion a piece of gear for us. If we bring him 4 light leather and 4 coarse thread, he will teach us how to make Kodo hide bags. I had 7 light leather on me, so I quickly buy 4 coarse thread from the vendor. Varen is pleased that youths are interested in learning his trade and hands us the pattern for the Kodo hide bag. These are just 6-slot bags, so I don't need to make any, but handy for anyone who would like to make their own bags instead of buying them. Finishing this quest leveled my reputation with Thunderbluff to Honored, which is very nice as it reduces the prices to all of the vendors associated with Thunderbluff. It will also make training cheaper, so I'll have to remember to come here for hunter training until Orgrimmar reaches Honored as well. On the right side of this hut is the Horde Cloth Quartermaster, who will now accept wool cloth donations, as well as a leather armor vendor and the leatherworking trainers. In the very center is a heavy armor vendor. That's it for mid-rise. We can head back to the central totem and go up 1 more level to the high rise. The first hut on the left is called Rainsticks and has a staff vendor. Next is the Kodo Steak and Ribs hut with a meat vendor. There is a lot of Kodo bones around this place. Then we have Winterhoof Totems. This seems to be the shop that makes all of the totems placed everywhere, though we can't talk to Ta Winterhoof to confirm. Next is Mountaintop Bait and Tackle, whose sign is funnily enough a loaf of bread. I'm sure bread can also be used as bait. This has the fishing trainer and fishing vendor. We can pass the building with the bridge to Elder Rise and head for the main building, where we can find Cairn Bloodhoof and his Honor Guard, called Honor Guard. Well, they can't all be Kor'kron elite, I guess. He welcomes us to Thunderbluff and says all the Horde are welcome to refuge here from the burdens of the world. The spirits are present here and we should honor them and ourselves in this sacred place. Definitely has a spiritual leader vibes down. He lets us know we have officially passed the rites of the Earth Mother and earned our place in Thunderbluff. To keep this spot, I need to continue to prove my worth to the Tauren people. In Mulgore, there is a mighty Kodo named Narache. We are to show our skills in tracking and hunting by bringing the horde of this Kodo back to Cairn. Alright, one final challenge with a fantastic reward of new leather pants with 4 agility. We can take a peek into Karn's house, and while he doesn't have much, he does have an absolutely massive pipe. I don't even want to know what kind of hit you'd get off that. One more bridge building to pass by that goes to the Hunter's Rise, and we find Thunderhoof's Firearms with a gun vendor. Next is Rage Totem Arms, which has 4 different weapon vendors. I suppose they all couldn't fit down by the Weapon Master. We come next to a building without a front sign that has a War Harness vendor. Another one that only sells thin, strappy leather chest pieces. I wonder if she works with that vendor in Orgrimmar. The last hut is Aska's kitchen, with the cooking trainer and the cooking vendor. Back to the central totem, we can run all the way to the top and get the flight point for Thunderbluff. We can head back to the building on High Rise for the bridge to the Hunter's Rise. There isn't a sign on this first hut and only has Saren Priderunner, who we can't talk to. Mulgore's Stonehoof is just to the right of this building, and we can finally give him these cougar claws we collected a while ago. Scorn Whitecloud is a wise Tauren, and if he has sent us to Mulgore, then we must have the Hunter Spirit. If we want to continue our walk on the Hunter's Path, then we need to head to the Barrens. We will learn much there hunting the strong-willed and fierce beasts there. We need to speak to Sacred Darkthorn again, and it looks like Mulgore doesn't have as much of a low opinion of the shaman like a certain orc at the beginning of this episode. The large hut on this rise is the Hunter's Hall. As you can surmise, this is where the hunter trainers are, but it is also where the warrior trainers are. The middle two huts have the PvP battle masters. Around the large hut, we can find two small huts. One has Mosarn, who we can't talk to, and the other has the pet trainer. We can head back to High Rise and run across to the other bridge building to get to the Elder Rise. The first hut on the right has Bashana Rune Totem, who greets us and wishes blessings and bounties for us. How nice! To the left is Ruharo, Magatha's servant. We will speak with him instead of bothering his mistress. Don't worry, over the course of this series you will see just why I hate Magatha Grimtotem, and this is a small taste of why. Magatha Grimtotem sent diplomats to try and make peace with Trogs in the Ragefire Chasm. When this, obviously, led to their deaths, she now wants us to kill all of them for threatening the Horde. Because sending an ill-equipped Tauren to make peace with a highly aggressive species was supposed to work? Somehow word reached Thunderbluff that Mar Grimtotem found something peculiar while in Ragefire Chasm. Magatha would like us to find the remains of this diplomat and recover whatever it could have been if his corpse is still there. We can only assume they sent a letter before being killed, or how else would Magatha know this? We can't talk to Magatha in her little hut, but I think I managed to make my feelings known all the same. The small hut next to the other bridge has Elder Rise drums. We can't talk to Sheza Wildmane, but she does have a lot of drums in her hut, so I would presume that if war drums existed, we could have gotten some here. The main building is the Hall of Elders. You can find the Druid trainers here. Archdruid Hamul Rune Totem says that the Druids of Thunderbluff sensed a strange power leaking into the Barrens. Tonga Rune Totem was sent to discover the source of it, but he might require aid to do so. We need to go to the crossroads and talk to Tonga. We can take the right bridge to Midrise to cross over and take the bridge to Spirit Rise, the last area of Thunderbluff. To the right is the first hut, Spiritual Healing, where we can find the first A trainer. The other two huts on this side are empty. The main hut is called Hall of Spirits, which is modeled after the Spirit Lodge from Warcraft 3. Inside is the Shaman trainers. The other two huts are also empty, but you can find Palway Mistrunner in between them, though you can't talk to her. If you follow the road down the bridge back to Low Rise and keep going, you can find the entrance to the Pools of Vision. Inside you can find Clarice Foster. She's ranting about who I presume is her husband from her living life, claiming he left for a crusade, leaving his children and wife behind. He died while away, and Clarice succumbed to the scourge. She gives us a pendant to place on the tomb of Yariv in the sepulchre, as she wants nothing to do with it or him anymore. Divorced after death. Harsh. Everyone here is Forsaken, giving credence to Kieran's introduction that everyone from the Horde can find sanctuary here. This is where the priest and mage trainers are, as Tauren cannot be those classes. This means only Undercity is missing a class trainer, and it just happened to be mine. Hilarious. Apothecary Zama has been sent by the Royal Apothecary Society to help further the advancements of the Forsaken. I assume she's referencing making a new plague. There is a rare specimen of flora in the Wailing Caverns that has great potential called Serpent Bloom. However, this cave system is extremely dangerous and also in the Barrens, so I don't know why they sent Zama to Thunderbluff. We need to go there and bring back 10 Serpent Bloom for her. This is everything to see in Thunderbluff. We can head back to the southwest main elevator to head back down to Mulgore and finish the last few quests. Pretty much directly north of this elevator is the harpies needed for the headdress. These have a pretty low drop rate. While grinding these bird women, a tribal vest dropped with agility on it, so I took it for a minor upgrade. Near the end of the grind, a hunting bow dropped. Even though it was only a level 6 bow, it was better than the one I've had since Durotar. Finally a ranged upgrade. After many harpies, we have our 6 azure and 6 brawn feathers. I put on track beasts so as we run around Thunderbluff I can keep a lookout for Ghost Howl, but we found it almost immediately. How lucky! We can pick up the Demon Scarred Cloak, which starts a quest. We should deliver this cloak to someone who knows of Ghost Howl, which we know of one already. Scorn Whitecloud told us the story of Ghost Howl and Bloodhoof a while back in this episode. We should deliver this to him later. Continuing around Thunder Bluff to go hunt a Sakoda, we can find a small Venture Co. camp north of the city. We didn't have any reason to come here, but it's some nice flavor to see just how far in Mulgore the Venture Co. has made it. While running around trying to find Narache, I find a rare monster. It's a level 10 cat called the Rake. He dropped the line for armor, which is just a leather chest with 1 intellect, but it can be worn at level 5. I won the roll, so that will be sold on the auction house for a small profit. A little more running around and I finally spot Narache on my minimap. The Kodo has some cougars join in the fight, but with a level 15 hunter and a level 12 priest, we take down the beast and collect its horn. We run back to Thunder Bluff and hand off the horn to Cairn. He will send a gathering party to collect the carcass to use what meat and hide they can from it. I, for one, will enjoy the new pants. This levels me to 16, so I'll have to get training before moving on with the reduced prices here. Back to Low Rise and Aeon Eagle Talon, we hand off the feathers we collected. He thanks us for our help as his contribution to the ceremony is almost complete. This leaves just one quest remaining, bringing Ghost Howl's pelt to Bloodhoof. One run south later and we show the cloak to Scorn. He can't believe his eyes that we managed to defeat Ghost Howl. We have earned some new respect from Scorn for our hunting skills. He offers one of his own weapons from his hunting days, as he would be honored if we would use it. I briefly contemplated switching to the gun, but I don't have an ammo pouch and the increase in DPS isn't very much. If I find a better gun, I'll take the time to completely change my ammo. I started running back to Thunder Bluff, but remembered I changed my Hearthstone, so once again I get to watch my party member run back while I teleport. These have all been completely unintentional, which makes it even funnier that it's happened 4 times so far. Time to get some hunter training. Back to Hunter Rise, I pick up Immolation Trap, which will deal fire damage over time to the first enemy to walk over it. Mongoose Bite, that will let me counterattack an enemy after I have dodged an attack, and Raptor Strike rank 3 for more melee damage. The pet trainer didn't have anything for this level. I checked Hannibal and noticed that his loyalty is now level 6, which is the highest it can go. That means it's time to tame a new pet. Sorry, Hannibal, you served us well for the starting zones, but it's time to learn another ability. I head to Low Rise and stable him at the Stable Master. I could have just released him, but I like to keep my first pet for a while. Our next pet target is a wolf to try for Ferocious Howl. I can tame a Prairie Alpha north of Thunderbluff for this, though the odds are higher in the wargs in Silverpine. Before I head down, I hand in the second leatherworker quest to Varen, trading 12 pieces of leather for a pair of gloves I could have made with 4. Oh well, the reputation gain was worth it. I head down the north exit elevator and quickly find the Prairie Wolf Alpha. Wolves will only eat meat, and as has become a weird tradition, we feed him charred wolf meat. At least it makes more sense for a wolf to eat another wolf as a carnivore than a boar. No Ferocious Howl this time, but we did get Bite rank 2, which I will take the time to learn as it can transfer to another wolf I can tame for the Howl later. I head back into Thunderbluff and find another cheap 8-slot bag on the auction house, so now I have the same slot space as another character with 4 6-slot bags. The price we must pay to basically have a pocket tank follow us around in pet form. Since we have all the quests for Ragefire Chasm now, we can start the next video with our first dungeon. Then finally head into our first level 10 zone, the Barrens. See you all there! Thank you all so much for watching my video. I've been having a blast playing through World of Warcraft again and documenting it all for you. Please leave a like or comment, as any feedback would be highly appreciated as I slowly learn how to film and edit these videos. I also want to thank all the people who have subscribed to me, as I never thought I would even get 5 subscribers, let alone the 20-something I've gotten so far. So I appreciate all of you. Bye bye for now!